Shit, here we go again.
Supreme victory!
What's going on, guys? How you doing? So I was gonna stream on Saturday night talking about this. I was gonna play San Andreas, and I put a bunch of mods on there that updated the graphics like crazy, but then I kept having problems with it crashing and whatnot. So I thought, okay, whatever, I'll figure out everything on Sunday. But then it turns out that Pat and Sophie of Poisoning the Well, they were streaming talking about Antifa and Portland, the Proud Boys, and all the stuff that I'm gonna kind of talk about in just a moment. And I thought I didn't want to step on their toes. They're good guys. As a matter of fact, you should probably check out their stream. They had a lot of information in it, whatnot, because this is pretty much just going to be a rant about how ridiculous I think all this crap is. And so I digress on that. Now I'm just trying out this YouTube premiere thing for the first time. You know, I thought it was it's almost like a stream. There's a chat. So I'll be hanging out and then just seeing how you guys dig the video and whatnot. But whatever. As you guys know, all that stuff went down over the weekend, and I really had to like kind of pause for a moment. You know, I really had to like look into things that I never really looked into before, and particularly was, who the hell are the Proud Boys? You know, because I always hear them, the Proud Boys this, Proud Boys that. Like I made a video before and I mentioned that all I really know is that Gavin McInnes, he started the Proud Boys and then he left when I guess things were getting weird and whatnot. And that's pretty much, I was like, what do they do? Do they even do anything? And that's kind of like where I've always been. Like, I don't understand what they do. So I finally took the moment to see what the hell they do and what they're into, and pretty much I chalked it up to it being like a political fraternity. It's these guys that like to call themselves chauvinistic, right? And then they don't apologize for being Western men, you know, and they're the best and all this shit. And I'm just like, okay, that sounds fucking goofy to me, you know? It sounds like more of a joke thing. I guess maybe that's what Gavin was even trying to make it be. I don't know. I'm not sure. But one thing I know for sure from all the videos that I did see, I saw like 3 or 4, and some of them were not even in favor of the Proud Boys. They were kind of talking shit. It pretty much didn't seem like it had any type of ties to white supremacy or fascism, as Antifa likes to claim. You know, Antifa, pretty much anything that's even remotely tied to the right, they just deem fascist. And it's a tired song and dance, and it's also a pretty dangerous one, because you see that, you know, acts of violence keep breaking out whenever Antifa's around, whether they're the ones that started it or not. It's just a cesspool of bullshit, you know? And you gotta think at this point, because I'm not gonna just purely throw shade at Antifa. You guys know that I'm no fan of Antifa. I've made a few videos covering the things all the way back from the Berkeley stuff, when Milo was trying to have a speech or something like that, and then they were just burning everything down and breaking glasses and stuff and just being complete degenerates, you know, all the way back to that stuff, all the way to like now, where it's just like, dude, this stuff is getting tired, this stuff is getting old. And then at a certain point, it's like the people, like the Proud Boys and whatnot, and some organizations like that keep trying to do these rallies or whatever. They just know that it's one of those things I like to call, it's what I like to call hurting, not helping. You know, these people think that they're doing good and they're just fucking things up. Because yes, people like the Proud Boys are showing up to fight too, especially after this stuff happened. You know, the things that happened with Andy No before, when Andy got his ass whooped. And then it turns out that, you know, Andy No essentially is really positioning himself to like stir the pot and to profit off of this. You know, this has been very lucrative for him. And it's just like, is anybody pure in this situation? Is anyone trying to be a decent human being? And it's just turning out to just, you know, people or like trying to profit off of this swelling and this division. And I legitimately, like, I mean this, that I am annoyed and I'm tired of it. Like, really, I went to dinner with my friend just a couple nights ago, and I was just telling him, man, I was like, dude, this shit is just getting so fucking ridiculous. You know, this is exactly what people who run the show, lobbyists, whatnot, the people at the very tippy top, they fucking love this shit. Because we can't come together and focus on the real issues. We can't come together and be like, all right, we got to stop fighting each other. We got to get to the root of the real problems and the real issues. And then we can all kind of like band together and maybe start making some changes or whatnot. You know, this is like this is beautiful. As they call like divide and conquer. We all get divided and then everybody's just shitting on each other. Because one thing that annoys me to no end is that whenever you speak ill of Antifa, you have people, since they're kind of tied to the left, you know, even though they're like fucking super, they're like ultra commies, you know, and they do a lot of fucked up shit. They're still like, because they're fighting fascists, you know, they're tied over on that side, and it's like, oh, they're liberals, they're very left, or they're very progressive or whatever. That's what a lot of people will try to say. And then so people that are liberal and progressive feel like, well, you know, they'll make excuses like, well, they are doing good, they are kind of fighting this and they're fighting the good fight, and it's just like, this is stupid. This is ridiculous. You know, I think it's like it would be pretty nice if we could just all get on the same page and be like, Antifa's a fucking issue. You know, this is an issue, and I feel like things could be a hell of a lot more smoother if we can just admit that, because I honestly believe this. When it comes to like fascists and neo-Nazis and white supremacists, I think, and I genuinely believe this, the only people who are okay with them existing, like legitimately okay with them existing, is them themselves. The neo-Nazis, the white supremacists, and all that stuff. Now there's other people that don't like them, but they also don't want to destroy them because they also recognize that they're human beings. You know, I made a video the other day about Sarah Silverman versus cancel culture, and she mentioned in one of her shows she had a guy who's a renounced racist on the show. And every once in a while you hear about stories like this. I can't remember if it was the Wall Street Journal or New York Times. It was someone, they made an article and they were talking about a guy who got radicalized by the far right of YouTube and whatnot. And then he was like, what the hell am I doing? And then he kind of like, you know, jumped ship and he went to the left and everything. Like, you hear stories like this and you know, like, these are just fucking people and they can change. You know, like if someone's radicalized, they can be de-radicalized. They don't need to be hit and destroyed. You know, a long time ago, I've always said that the best way to handle like extremists is to fucking laugh at them. Is to humiliate them. Because most people would rather be physically assaulted than to be completely humiliated. Like, you know, humiliated to the point where you don't want to show your face. But if you're just attacked, you know what that usually does? If someone that doesn't like you attacks you, all it usually does is strengthen your resolve. It just really just solidifies what you think about these people or whatnot, and it becomes a huge problem. Like I say, hurting, not helping. Like, you think you're fighting the good fight, but it hasn't done anything. All you've done is made these people worse. So when you think about how things kind of start to escalate, these right-wing groups that are trying to have these free speech rallies or whatnot, that's what it typically starts off as. And then Antifa shows up because they're like, oh, everyone's a Nazi, and then they start fighting. And then after that happens, they come back, the right-wing groups, they come back and they're protesting. And then who else shows up with them? Some fucking racist-ass groups show up with them. And then all of a sudden, now Antifa has a real reason to be there because they're like, there's legitimate Nazis and KKK and fascists and whatnot there. And then it just turns into bullshit. You have these guys showing up with fucking, like, you know, armor on and stuff like that, and they're just being so tough. Like, everyone's trying to be so tough, they're trying to cosplay, and it's fucking embarrassing. Like, regular people that are watching, they're like, what even is this shit? It's so fucking maddening, especially when these people are all unmasked. You see they're the most pathetic people. And I'm talking about anyone. I'm not just talking about Antifa. I'm talking about the Patriots or whatever the fuck that show up and they're all like armed to the teeth and they have like fucking mask on and helmets and they have like shields and stuff. They're like, come on. Like, it looks funny. It's just funny. It's not cute or cool. It's just funny. Like, you're fucking silly. You're a joke. Now, the other thing I want to touch on is the debate, the discussion on whether Antifa should be labeled a terrorist organization or not. And I had to think about this one because there's a part of me, just being honest, that thinks that I'm like, well, these people are politically motivated and they are terrorizing people. So maybe you do want to classify them as domestic terrorist. But then there's a most of me that's like, that's fucking stupid. Like, because at a certain point, that's almost, you know, it's a ridiculous thing to kind of say, but it's almost like giving them a badge, like almost like legitimizing these people, like they're really striking fear into people's hearts and stuff like that. When most people that I see, you know, even when I went to dinner with my friend, he was seeing like how pathetic these people are. He's not scared of them. Like, say, when I see people like Antifa or anything like that, I'm not scared of them. No, I'm scared of people that have weapons typically. When I see someone that's wielding a weapon and they're aiming them at me, then I'm a little bit like, oh shit, you know, what am I gonna do? But I'm just saying, just these people on the surface, no. Like, so really the discussion, when you think about it to its core, it sounds fucking silly. It really does. It doesn't sound like something that should be like, oh, let's call these people like terrorists. When you think about real terrorists, when you think about real terror, not just idiots like, say, you know, you go to sporting events and people will break out into riots and everyone's fighting each other and hitting each other with shit. And those are riots and acts of violence, but we usually don't classify things like that as terror because that's just super over the top, you know? And so that's more of a thing that, like, I had to take a step back from and be like, what the fuck am I even thinking? Like, when there was a part of me thinking that, well, yeah, you know, just because I'm, you know, annoyed by what these people are doing, it is pretty frustrating for, you know, Antifa to constantly keep coming out, especially to some of these liberal states on, and they don't really get checked that much. You know, even when it comes to Portland, the mayor never really says anything about Antifa. Not really, you know, but quick to say stuff about the Proud Boys or anyone on the right because, you know, it's just very apparent how this person is, how this person feels, how this person views the world. May even be a secret member, you never know. But to you regular commentators and people like that, why do you get so angry and defensive when people want to come out and say that Antifa's trash and Antifa's a problem, and it sucks when they do stupid shit like throw stuff at people and beat people up and just, you know, constantly cause a lot of chaos? Like, why is that such a problem? Like, I wonder, you know. And I've seen some people say, well, no one ever calls out other shit that goes down. And I'm saying, if you show people consistently, like, say, let's talk about like a right-wing or white supremacist group. If you show them, like, say, and I'm talking about in modern day, consistently showing up to events and terrorizing and beating up people, it would be classified in the same fucking way. I want you to think about this. When we have some unfortunate thing happen, like a mass shooting, and then you have these fucking old-ass boomer Republicans trying to say, oh, it's the video games, it's the metal, you know, pretty much people jump in and shit all over them. And when there was a little moment where people, you know, just progressive ideologues were trying to jump down video games' throat and saying, oh, video games cause sexism and whatnot, and they're trying to do the same type of tactics, people jump down their fucking throats. I think typically people just want to just point at stuff and be like, this is fucking stupid and you're wrong. And I feel like there is a huge trend of Antifa doing dumb shit, and there's a lot of people saying this is fucking stupid, but then it's just weird because there's a lot of people who are like, well, they're not technically an organization, where's their leaders and stuff, and well, they're not this, and well, they don't do this, oh well, but these people do that. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? It's so silly. It's such a silly approach to take. All I know is that it would be fucking nice if we could talk some shit out. That's probably all I'm saying. I know it's fucking hard. It's easier said than done. There's plenty of people that don't want to talk. There's plenty of people that just that see fascists and commies as just pure enemies and they need to be vanquished. And it's kind of a shitty situation to be in. But that's pretty much all I really wanted to say about all of this. You know, I really wish I would have been able to stream and play my video games, have a little bit more fun. But, you know, I still wanted to kind of get this off of my chest because you see this stuff. I go on Twitter and I'm just like, I just want to find some memes, really. And then I'm seeing people just quote tweeting this and saying just the shittiest things. And, you know, I just chimed in. The only thing I said, because at this point I genuinely am kind of tired of this shit. I just saw that shirt and I'm like, I low-key want that. I'm not joking. I legitimately even thought about, I was like, I should just make a version of my own. But, you know, because it's so absurd. But yeah, that's it, you know. Hopefully things like this, I don't know, man. I really just want things like this to die down. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. I hope you I hope you took something positive from this, even though I was very cynical about this. But yeah, you guys have a wonderful day, wonderful night wherever you're at, and I'll have a new video out for you very soon. So take care.